Okay guys, how we doing? Today is Friday the 2nd of May I believe, and it's a bank holiday weekend. Yay! We get a few days off, and for me tonight I'm having a couple of drinks, I'm chilling out, and I'm very excited about the weekend, and I hope you are too. I was quite surprised today because I was expecting this weekend, towards the end of the weekend, to be seeing the Call of Duty reveal trailer for the new Modern Warfare, or as it is in fact called, Advanced Warfare. And obviously it happened today, and that's what I say. It was like, whoa, okay, this has happened now, it's called Advanced Warfare. I wasn't expecting that, but you know, I watched the video. Well, first of all, I saw the video on T Martin's channel, and I kind of watched about 35 seconds of it and thought, no, I don't want to watch you, I don't want to listen to you, I want to actually go and watch the video itself. And I watched it and I thought I'd do a couple of little dissections and tell you my thoughts and what I'm feeling about it. A few things I'm excited about and a few things I'm kind of not sure about. It's not dreading, not worried, but just not sure. You know, it gives off a few mixed messages, but there's a couple of things in there I saw and I thought, oh no, please don't. Now, first of all, let me just say, from a graphical sense, I think this game looks amazing. Now, let's go back a year to Call of Duty Ghosts. Now, they done their reveal trailer, which was the kind of teaser thing, which was obviously going to be, we all thought was going to be similar to what has happened now and what has happened in the past, but in fact we was given a little bit of footage of a bunch of guys pulling masks over their faces with some wartime jungle drums in the background and a voiceover saying, we all wear a mask, why are you wearing, I don't know, whatever it said. And, you know, people were genuinely disappointed by that. People had high expectations for hopefully seeing something that was going to whet their appetite, and we never got it. And that was a little bit of a shame. And then, obviously, as time went on, they showed a little bit more gameplay with the multiplayer revealer. And one of the biggest things that people were hitting on was, wow, this game looks like crap. The colour palettes are crap. The graphics look terrible. What the hell is going on? This is supposed to be next gen. I don't understand. Well, this gameplay it's showing it at the beginning of the trailer. It says this is an Xbox One gameplay, which I know will upset a lot of people. Upsets a lot of people on the PS3, PS4 side of things, because obviously it's gone back to the whole Xbox Microsoft sponsorship thing, where we're going to get the DLCs early and things like that. So that's obviously going to rustle a lot of feathers. And I would imagine that, you know, watching the trailer, looking at all the dislikes, these are generally PS3, PS4 people that dislike these things because they're like, it's not fair. It really isn't fair. Which I kind of get that. I understand. I'm on board with you with that. But hey, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. And I think it's one of those you got to deal with it or just buy a new system. And not everybody can do that. But from the point of view of the colour palettes and how the game looks and the gameplay that I saw, I genuinely am feeling as excited as I was when I saw Modern Warfare 2. And please look, you know, don't criticise me for that. Don't jump on the bandwagon and call me a fucking idiot because I'm looking forward to something, because I'm a Call of Duty fan. You know, this is the reason why you've come over to this channel and you watch me. Okay, maybe for the commentaries, but it was a Call of Duty channel in the first place. Hopefully you understand my point of view. Whenever I think about Modern Warfare 2, and particularly when I load up the game and I go off and I make a drink or I do whatever, and then I come back and it's obviously doing the loading up screen and playing the trailers and, you know, the beginning part of the game, and it's showing the people in favela and all the explosions, and it's got the voiceover talking with all the characters. It kind of reminds me of that because it's an exciting piece of gameplay. And Modern Warfare 2 is one of the only campaigns I've ever played. Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare 2, I've never played another campaign on any of the Call of Duty, and I love the campaign in Modern Warfare 2. I think the Call of Duty 4 campaign was better, but, you know, I'm old school, that I would think that. So from that point of view and that perspective, it looks amazing. There's a few things in there that stand out, and I'm just going to show a couple of flits of gameplay in between. Obviously now it looks as though they've taken a few tips from Titanfall, where you get these people doing these ecstatic high jumps, moving around the map and climbing up walls and things. Now, one of the things with the characters that sort of stands out, and I noticed when I watched the T Martin video, he pointed out the armour that the character wears, and he says, oh, it's like a kind of endoskeleton. If you look at it, there's bigger characters and there's smaller characters. I don't know why that endoskeleton's there. Maybe it all will become more available to us with the information they're going to give. I think I can kind of nip it in the bud and understand that now just from a logic point of view. If you're going to be jumping 20 foot in the air, and if you're going to be scaling walls using some kind of magical electronic gloves, obviously, as a normal person, even the strongest kind of people, you're not going to be able to jump as high as a cricket. You're going to need some kind of bodysuit to be able to do that. And that is why, obviously, the endoskeleton armour is there. The spine is the main structure of the body that supports your legs, your arms, your head, practically everything. If you're going to be doing massive jumps, that's where the strength is going to need to be. So if it's a robotic kind of bodysuit, it's going to be there to support the power of the thrust. I would imagine anyway. I can't see any other explanation for it, that's just my surmise. Now how people feel about that I don't know, because obviously I'm one of the few who didn't really like Titanfall, but you see I'm kind of basing it on a multiplayer point of view. But you know, don't forget, this isn't showing multiplayer gameplay, this is showing campaign gameplay. And sometimes everything that's involved in the campaign actually isn't in the multiplayer itself. If I think back to Black Ops 2, and actually I've told a little bit of a porcupine there because I did play a little bit of campaign in Black Ops 2. When you used the Spaz 12 you could pick up these explosive rounds that when you shot people they just burst into flames. Well, if they would have been in the multiplayer game, I'm sorry, I don't think I could have played that game for too long. But they were in the campaign, so, you know, it doesn't always mean that everything that is in the campaign is going to be in the multiplayer gameplay, but, you know, we're just making kind of suggestions at the moment. But let's talk about a couple of things I'm concerned about. These are just a couple of things I've seen, maybe there's nothing really in it, but a couple of things that I would imagine are obviously going to be involved in the game. The first one is one of the sites, and it shows it a few times, and it almost, this is it on the screen now, it almost to me looks like a tracker site again. I don't know, but the tracker site from Call of Duty Ghosts was one of my biggest bugbears along with the thermal. I think the last thing this game really needs is to go over the top with the attachments for guns. If they do it in the multiplayer again, you can probably kiss this game goodbye. That for me would be the biggest failing in this game, is if they make the attachments overpowered. I would like to go back to general red dot sight, holographic sight, ACOG, and thermal that isn't just too needed, you know, not an overpowered thermal, a thermal that's been in every other game, but you don't feel like you have to put it on to get the edge. The other thing I wanted to talk about, and this is just a little concern, and I'm going to show it in slow motion so you can see it for yourself, and whether it's just a campaign thing, again, it might not be in the multiplayer, but quite possibly could be, and it could be a streak, it could be a support streak, we don't know. I would imagine being a support is quite popular. If they brought this back as a support streak, I really wouldn't like it. Now, it always seems to me, I don't mind, I understand people need to get undercover and hide away from bullets and stand up and get that bit of a advantage where you're not showing too much of your body. I get that. But it always seemed to me the more the Call of Duty went on, and the further on it went in games over the years, people who head glitched behind surfaces or behind boxes or behind walls became harder to kill, even when you were hitting them on their body. Bearing in mind most of the time you could only see a head. It was kind of taking 4 to 5 shots to the head. And it's like, no, it's a head. It should be a headshot. I don't mind anybody head glitching, but it's called head glitching because it's a head glitching. If you shoot that head, it's death. That's it. You get the advantage of hiding, but you get the disadvantage that you are showing the most vulnerable place to your body. Now in this clip here, you'll see somebody drop down a kind of like concertina barrier, pull it across, and then everybody just stands behind this barrier and shoots. Now that to me just worries me a little bit, because if they have a lot of these in support streaks or something like that, and people are just pulling these barriers all over the place and barricading themselves behind, man, that's not going to be fun. But again, it's just a surmise, it's just an assumption. It may not be there in the game. I don't know. It might just be one mission. There might be something that was actually there and you pick it up and you put it down, it's never used again. Now let's finish on a little positive. This is just one little positive. I think it could be a positive. It could be a real negative, but for me it was kind of funny. It's this. The bitch slap. The backhand. Or as we call in England, if you're a bit of a drinker, the hairy side. He got a little bit lippy with me, so I gave him the fucking hairy side of the hand. The back of the hand. That is funny. If that's going to be something that you do as, you know, an alternative to stabbing people, if you can give them a quick little slap and maybe knock them off mark, or I wouldn't have thought you could kill people by doing that, but it would be funny if you could get knocked out the way. I can imagine some really funny montages of people just running around bitch slapping the entire enemy team and putting it in a funny video. So yeah, you know, I'm just kind of covering one or two basics. I'm not going to talk too much. There was a whole lot to talk about in the trailer. If I wanted to talk about it all, I'd be here for about 25-30 minutes, and you really don't want that. So yeah, we'll talk a bit more about it as time goes on, and hopefully things will be a bit more clearer. But in the meantime, go check out the video, see what you think. But bear in mind, this is a Call of Duty game, okay? Don't expect to see anything amazingly innovative that's going to stand out and make you say, oh my god, this is a new thing to me. It's Call of Duty. They've got to kind of follow trends. That's why we like it, that's why we hate it. And that's probably why you hate me, because I'm always optimistic and I always look forward to things and get deeply disappointed. But that's what it's all about. I'm just bringing you the news. Hopefully you enjoyed my take on it. So I'll see you later, guys. Sorry the video was a bit long. Enjoy your weekend. Apocalypse done.